Welcome back to American Warrior Radio right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL. And let's go ahead and mention, if you're somewhere other than within our direct listening area, and we have a reach. We go into Volusia, we go into Orange, we go into Indian River, depending on the weather and all that with our signal. But if you're outside of that zone, please check us out live online at 1300WMEL.com. If you're listening in Oregon, Montana, Vermont, Texas, Afghanistan, please shoot us an email. We always want to hear from you. We get lots of contact. Glenn, you get phone calls into your office from folks that are listening as far away as Indiana.
Oh, yeah. You can call me at 321-633-2012. That's 321-633-2012. You don't have to be in Florida to call me, or Brevard County specifically. I'll be happy to provide you the information and answer your question, or look it up and call you back if I have to.
Exactly. Hey, Glenn, you and I attended the Space Coast Community Law School's class, and this is a free informational seminar series.
Absolutely free.
In the spring and in the fall, Britta Hawkins and her crew do a phenomenal job.
You bet.
Subjects range from divorce at any age to small claims procedures. Big one coming up on the 28th, Gun Control and Stand Your Ground Law by Judge John Murphy, who happens to be the Chief Administrator for the Veterans Court as well.
Oh, absolutely. And don't skip that one on guardianships, because that's more and more going on in our county, particularly with the veterans population, because Florida has the oldest, most service-connected disabled veterans in America.
Good point. And there's a lot more. I'll give you the website, but we're going to talk about this in a moment. Let me give you the website to register for these and many other classes, and just kind of keep abreast of what Space Coast Community Law School's got going. It's very easy. SCCLS.com. That stands for Space Coast Community Law School.com. Check it out. You can also call 321-269-6833. 321-269-6833 and register for these upcoming classes. As Glenn said, they are free.
And they're very informative.
They really are. And they're right there, well, near where your office is in the Vieira Government Complex.
Yep, it's just right over at the courthouse there, which is just west of where we're at. And it's in the jury assembly room, and there's a lot more space there than I remember. Thank goodness I haven't been called for jury duty in a while.
I have each of the last 2 years, but that's beside the point.
They call me and deny me every time I go. So
you're so opinionated. Guilty. No. The prime sponsor is Telfer, Faraday, Anderson, and Hawkins. Those are attorneys at law. A lot of other sponsors, including WMEL Radio, right here at AM 1300, as well as yours truly with American Warrior Radio. Glenn, I was telling the audience, we went to one of these seminars about what? What was the topic?
Well, it was about the aid and attendance benefit, which is, if you go to an assisted living facility, this is probably where you're first going to hear about this. You might hear about it from a friend or a relative, or you might hear about it from the folks at one senior place. But you'll hear about it if you're contemplating you yourself having to go into an assisted living facility, your spouse,
maybe a
friend, a parent going into an assisted living facility. And basically somebody will tell you the VA will help pay for the cost of the assisted living facility. And that's true if you qualify. And there's the if. If you qualify. This is an income and asset-based program, and it is intended to help you pay for additional health care if you need that and you're a qualifying veteran or a surviving spouse of a qualifying veteran. So we need to talk about those qualifications, I think, Garen.
I think that's important. I want to just state real quickly that Robin Peterson, a local attorney, actually put the seminar on, Aid and Attendance, a Veteran's Benefit for Medical Expenses. And as y'all probably know, you can seek the assistance of an attorney so long as they're accredited with the VA, and they cannot charge you for any representation. If the issue goes on appeal, in other words, if you're denied, then they can go through a fee arrangement agreement with the regional council, yada, yada, yada. Bottom line is, Robin showed up to share with the crowd there, and there was a good 45 people there.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the nuts and bolts, the fundamentals of it, but Glenn, you do this every day. You're practiced in this. You're credentialed. You're up to speed with the latest laws. You talk to the pension people on a regular basis. So I'm going to defer to you and say that you are overwhelmingly more qualified than Mr. Peterson. Bless his heart. He did what he could. But we're here today to kind of clear up any misconceptions or rumors about this. So you mentioned qualifications. What's it take to be qualified to even start this process of aid and attendance?
Okay, well, and before we jump right into qualifications, we do appreciate Robin getting the information out there, and he gave a referral to my office. Thank you very much. And speaking of that, I get many attorneys to call my office to get the information about the pension and get it straight. So, we work in partnership with them. Our services, as a reminder, are absolutely free. We don't charge anything because we are your accredited representative with the VA. And so let's jump in from there into qualifications. And I'm going to talk about you have to meet the basic pension qualifications to even make an attempt to get money on the aid and attendance side of the house.
So before we talk about money or age, there's something even more important than that to get the ball rolling.
That's right. First, you have to be a wartime era veteran, and here's how this kind of works. First, you have to have at least 90 days of active duty, one day of which fell during a period of war. You did not have to be on the front lines fighting with your bayonets or whatever. You just had to be on active duty one day of those 90 days.
So if I'm a Vietnam era veteran from 65 to 75, and I was in for 91 days, but all I did was sit at a desk at Patrick Air Force Base, would I be qualified? Would I meet that first qualifier?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
If you were in 89 days, you probably would not qualify unless you got out on a medical or a hardship discharge. So.
Okay, so that's the first thing. You got to have served 90 consecutive days during a period of war.
One day of which was
during
the period of war.
Okay.
All right.
What's next?
Well, there's an addendum to that, like everything else in the if and or but world of VA benefits. After 1980, you need to have served, in most cases, 2 years or more
24
of active
months.
duty. 24 months. Again, most of the exception there is if you got out on a medical or a hardship discharge.
Okay.
You could still qualify. Okay. Next, you have to have income and assets below a certain level, and then you have to be totally and permanently disabled.
If you're under the age.
If you're under the age of 65.
What if I'm 66?
If you're 65 or older,
Okay.
then you're presumed to meet the criteria for totally and permanently disabled. So once you reach that first plateau of Medicare eligibility, I was going to say Social Security, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Exactly.
I had to go
That's all
to 66. Now I'm giving my age away. But that's the age criteria. If it's below 65, and we're not going to go there because most of the people that we're talking about today for A&A are older veterans, my counterparts. So if you're 65 or older, you've met the medical criteria. That's the basic pension eligibility. Now, to get aid and attendance, you have to also meet additional medical criteria. That additional medical criteria is that you need assistance of another person to perform many adult daily living activities. I will tell you, the VA looks at you meeting at least needing assistance with at least 2 adult daily living activities.
And there's an actual list of what these are.
Yeah. Things like medication management, maybe bathing, maybe eating, cooking, bathing, all the things that you take for granted if you fortunately don't need assistance of another person with that can be ended up being a qualification factor for meeting the aid and attendance.
Those are ADLs, Activities of Daily Living.
ADLs, that's right. And they pretty much follow the same criteria Medicaid does, just as an aside there, with the criteria to meet at least 2 of them. And how's that determined? Well, there's a special form to be filled out, a VA form that we will give you to take to your doctor, and that can be your VA doctor or your private doctor, and that goes along with the application. And the VA looks at it on an individual basis. Each claim is based upon its own fact pattern. So just because your neighbor down the street got aid and attendance and you think you have the same problems they do and you get denied, well, not everybody's the same. It's all individual cases.
That's a fact. That's really something you have to hit home with, because that's a perfect scenario. Hey, my buddy gets it, I'm as bad as him. Not necessarily true.
Yeah, exactly. And then, okay, probably where it gets to be one of the more complex VA benefits that you can talk about or apply for is determining the income criteria. I'll tell you first, the asset criteria is generally $80,000 or less, and they do not count your own home, and they do not count one car. And when I say your own home, that includes the contents. I've been asked that question before. So if you own other property somewhere on a mountaintop in Tennessee and those kind of things, that would count. Unless we can help you get that waived out of there. That's why you need to see professionals that know all those kind of rules and how to get around some of them legally for you if that applies to your particular case. So that's the asset side. We can pretty much leave that discussion right there and go into the income. And the VA is looking for the income that the VA determines that they're going to count for your pension eligibility. If you are not in an assisted living facility and are not receiving home health care, then the income they're going to look at is your gross income from all sources, including Social Security, and if married, your spouse's gross income from all sources, including Social Security.
What do you mean gross?
Gross, before they take out anything, before they take out taxes or any other deductions from your income.
So everything that comes in.
So, yeah, it's that first figure on your pay slip, and then comes taxes and medical care premiums and whatever else you may have coming out, alimony or whatever. So
it's the gross,
it's the gross
big dollar
pay.
amount. Okay.
And a key point there that I've had people actually want to argue with me for some considerable time is it includes your spouse's gross income.
Ah.
The argument from the people who want to argue this with me is it's my benefit, I served, she didn't serve, they shouldn't count her money. Well,
but they do.
The law is the law.
Yeah, can't change that.
Yeah, so, okay, they look at the gross income. Then they look at, if you're going to go into let's take staying at home first, because this is one people really don't understand, and this is where you may not always hear about the aid and attendance program. If you're staying at home and you have a son or a daughter or a neighbor or a friend providing the help with those adult daily living activities, those ADLs, at least 2 of them, then you pay that person, you can claim that as the same thing as being in an assisted living facility. A caution here, if it's your spouse that's doing all that, you cannot claim that, because then the VA would count that as income for your spouse.
Exactly.
And then deduct it off, so it's
defeating the purpose.
Yeah, it's self-canceling.
So if you had somebody coming into your home and helping you make the beds or cook breakfast or dinner, like you said, managing your medications, things like that, those would qualify. And that person, if you're paying them, that money would come out and count against the gross.
That would be deducted from those combined gross in the case of a married or a single person. The single person's gross income be deducted from that to determine what the VA is going to look at as your countable income for pension purposes. Now, if you're a single person, it's $1,700 and change is the maximum, and if you're a married person, it's a little over $2,000, and I'm talking monthly here. So let's take an example with home health care.
Examples are good.
We have a home health care, and it's a married veteran, so the maximum for aid and attendance, when we're presuming that's going to be approved by the VA, the maximum is $2,037, I think it is, but call it $2,000 just for argument's sake.
Per month.
Per month, and then you're paying your friend next door to come in and help you bathe and to cook for you and make sure you're taking your medications and a couple of other adult daily living activities. You're paying them $1,500 a month. So,
which that could be possible.
yeah, and you're bringing in $1,000 a month in gross income. So we've got a married couple with $1,000 home health care, $2,000 worth of income. So you subtract the $1,000, you've got $1,000 income countable for VA purposes. So the maximum is $2,000 for a VA pension. You got $1,000 countable income. So you don't get the $2,000 because you are below. You get the difference. You get the $1,000 of countable income in your case, subtracted from the $2,000 maximum, and the VA could chip in $1,000 in this example based on the facts I've given you.
Which will make a world of difference to those folks that would qualify for this program.
Well, yeah, you'd be paying $1,000 of the $1,500 you're paying out for home health care to start with. So that's a great difference. Now, it works the same way if you're in an assisted living facility. Now, let me say, you have to first we can start the process for you if you're going to go into an assisted living facility and you meet that basic eligibility. We can start it before you're in the assisted living facility, but we can't file it for you until you're in the assisted living facility because you have to have a legal requirement to be responsible to pay some money to the assisted living facility.
Sure.
And that only happens the day you walk in the door and become a resident at the assisted living facility. So, but it works the same way. Let's take that same example, $2,000 income for a married couple. And the assisted living facility is going to cost $2,500. So the only way they're going to stay there is to deplete all the savings they may have saved up, or some other family member kicks in and helps out, whatever the case may be. But it's costing $500 more than what their income is. So their income for the VA pension purposes is zero. So if the income is zero, there's nothing to subtract from the maximum, and you get the maximum, which is that $2,000 for a married couple. Well, you add that $2,000 to the $2,000 you've already got, and now you got $4,000 coming in to pay the $2,500, and you got $1,500 left that you wouldn't have otherwise had going to that assisted living facility to live on. Mucho better situation for you. That's much better if you don't speak Spanish.
Oh, thanks for pointing that out. Hey, what if let's throw a little monkey wrench in the works. What if somebody has a 20% service-connected disability compensation payment every month?
Okay, if they have 20%, that's roughly $255 a month in service-connected disability compensation. And what would happen is this benefit in the examples we've been using, either one of them is a greater benefit monetarily to the veteran than that $255 is for the 20% disability. So under the law that exists, they pay you the greatest disability or the greatest benefit that you're entitled to, which in the case would be the aid and attendance versus the $255. So the $255 would go away. You wouldn't get that in addition to what you're getting for the pension.
VA pays the greater benefit.
Right.
They're still going to be service connected for medical purposes and lots of other reasons.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's not taken away. It's just they're going to pay you the larger benefit.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. Because at 20% service connected, you're not subjected to a means test with the VA for eligibility. You're entitled to medical care specifically at no cost for the service-connected disabilities, and so it has a great impact upon your eligibility to get health care in a positive manner.
But you make another interesting point, and that is health care for these non-service connected pensioners.
Yes, health care for these non-service connected pensioners. It will put you in a higher priority category once you're approved for this pension, and you will be able to get health care from the VA with no copay. Plus, if you're in an assisted living facility and it's not convenient because of your disabilities to get to the VA for routine health care and those kind of things, you still are eligible for the mail-out pharmacy from the VA to get your pills sent to you. Now, that shouldn't be a problem in most places because it's only nursing homes that really want prepackaged medicine for you on a daily basis. ALFs don't normally want that. Even if they're helping you with medication management, what they're doing is somebody that works for the ALF is coming in and say, okay, now take this pill, this pill, this pill, and this pill. So there's no need for it to be prepackaged like it is in a nursing home to assure the proper dosage and all that, because the difference in a nursing home is 24/7 skilled nursing care. You will have nursing care available in an assisted living facility, but not required 24/7. It's a much higher, nursing home is a much higher level of need medically than an assisted living facility is.
Which is a subject for another day.
No, all by itself another subject.
CPR, woman dies.
Okay, so regarding this non-service connected pension and the aid and attendance benefit, just because they have a service-connected condition already should not discourage them for applying for this benefit.
That's
if they
right.
think they may be eligible. And it also goes into survivors, widowers pension, and things like that.
Yeah, it's at a much lower level of dollars, but the surviving spouse of an eligible veteran is also entitled to this pension if they qualify on income and assets.
Speaking on that income business, at this particular seminar, like I said, Mr. Peterson did a good job with the information that he had. He mentioned something that you've talked about before, Glenn, and that's this whole lack of a look back with the VA. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, excellent point. The VA does not look back. So if you come to my office seeking information today and you've got $120,000 in assets, and I'm going to tell you, well, you got to spend down some to get below 80 at least to have a chance of getting this. And then you come back a week later and say, okay, I divested myself of 70,000 of that 120,000, so now I only have $50,000 of assets. Well, that's what the VA will go with. So you'll be asset eligible to apply for the VA. The VA doesn't look back and say, okay, you gave that to your kids or you put it in a trust or whatever you did with it to divest yourself of those over assets.
So it is legal for them to do that.
It is legal. However, be careful. Medicaid has a 5-year look back, which will affect how long you have to wait before you can even apply for Medicaid. And it's based on, I think it's a month for every $7,000 that you divest yourself of to become eligible for the VA. And so now you've been tasked with doing a crystal ball. Yeah, okay, good luck with that, as to when you or the loved one may need to get Medicaid versus that, and Medicaid's what you're going to need to go into a nursing home.
Sure. Well, Glenn, you've really covered that subject very clearly and succinctly. If anybody has questions or needs forms or help with the forms for a non-service connected pension, the aid and attendance program, what's your number and office address again?
Okay, we're out at the County Government Center in Viera in Bravo Building on the first floor. Just look for the sign, Star Office. You can reach us at 633-2012, 321-633-2012. And let me say, don't pay anybody for help. We do it for free. I'll tell you, we know more about it than anybody in the county knows about it. And you should come to us to apply for this. Don't call us and send the forms, because we're trying to talk you out of doing it yourself. It is a very complex thing, and you can cheat yourself out of the benefits by not knowing what you can do and what you can't do and what's the best way to do it. Let us help you do it. And don't don't fall prey to any of these people who are wandering around our county and, as far as I'm concerned, ripping off veterans by charging them to file for a claim, and then they leave you in the lurch once they file the claim, and there's all kinds of follow-up the VA requires.
Right. So go save yourself the trouble. Go see Glenn and his associates first. I want to throw some information out here of upcoming events real quick, folks. This is why you have your pencil handy. The law school again, sccls.com. Call them 269-6833. Register for those free seminars on topics ranging all over the place. The calendar for AVET Project is full. We got lots going on. We need your help. We've got the breakfast for the 7/15 pre-deployment. We need to feed 300 people. Hop online, avetproject.org, and make a donation, please. We'll talk to you about the Miss Senior pageant next week. But, folks, we appreciate you tuning in to American Warrior Radio. Please spread the word. We want everybody to listen and get this information out to the folks that can use it. As always, Glenn,
Don't forget, thank a vet, and we'll talk to you next week.